ABC 36 News at Noon is brought to you by Trackside Restaurant and Bourbon Bar.
Hey friends, welcome back. Well, we had such a great interview down at the UK Football Practice Center.
We did.
With running back Ray Davis that we actually had to break this into two parts. So you saw the first part yesterday, and the second part is running today.
We didn't want the kid to go away. We were just like, no, you need to stay here and talk to us
It's
for
an
a while.
inspiring story. He's given us a peek about preps and action forthcoming for UK's football season.
That's right.
So here's part two of that interview. Well, they don't let us out of the studio much, but when they do, and it's a bucket list type opportunity, you go for it. So we're here at UK Football's practice facility, the Joe Kraft facility, and we've got a very special guest.
We do. Joining us today is running back senior Ray Davis. Now, let me ask you, you grew up in California and you had some family issues that you had to deal with when you were growing up. Let's talk about how football helped you get through that time in your life.
You know, growing up, going to football practices, I looked forward to those 2 hours every day. You know, it was sitting there and staying behind with the coaches, getting extra work, hanging out with friends, because when I was going home, it was kind of like setting back into reality. It was, you know, when going home, it wasn't the best situation. You know, I went through my trials and tribulations, but I knew football would be the key to my success if I continue to pour into it.
Yes.
You know, I didn't know how good I was as a young kid, you know, about 6 or 7. And then I started hearing everybody talking about me and, you know, how good my dad was and I had all these good traits like him. And so I started to kind of take it a little bit more serious, and I started to realize that if I wanted to make it out my situation, what I was going through, this was going to be, you know, my light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not for a lot of kids who are in my situation. You know, what I've been through and what I grew up in, you would have, you know, a lot of kids would have kind of given up, you know, with the decisions that I had to make. And I knew football was, hey, let's try to see how far we can get. And I'd be lying if I tell you when I got to middle school, I didn't think about high school. When I got to high school, I didn't think about college. You know, I just was trying to make it every day, one day at a time. And when those things happened, I had to live with every decision that I made.
Yes.
You know, good or bad. And at the end of the day, you know, I had to see how long I was going to be on the ground and how long it was going to take me to get back up and work my way up to where I needed to be. And you know, football, again, those 2 hours took me away from everything. I got to be a kid, because when football ended, I had to go be a grown man.
Right. Well, it's awesome to see you on the path. It really is.
Appreciate it.
What advice would you give to that young boy, that 6 or 7-year-old that you run into, and what's the best way for them to start getting mentally tough and preparing for this journey that you're on?
I think for sure, you know, we're living in kind of a society and generation where we're just kind of forcing kids to get into things. And the best thing I would say to a kid around that age is to have fun and to know that this game is a game that you are going to be able to play for many years. But if you start to overthink it, then you kind of lose yourself. You lose yourself in that moment, and then the parents get involved, and et cetera, et cetera. So I would just tell a kid to have fun, but to know that every decision you make from that age on will affect you and your potential collegiate and professional career. So if you're gonna apply yourself, then apply yourself. But if you're gonna go, you know, halfway in, it's not gonna work. So you know, you gotta ask a kid at that age, hey, you may have to give up some sleepovers with friends. You may have to give up, you know, sleeping in and playing video games. You might have to go play basketball to get the, you know, conditioning in. You might have to go play baseball. You might have to go play soccer, run track to build that athleticism. So then when it's time to apply it to your sport, you light years ahead of everybody. And that's what I was able to do. And I would tell somebody like that, hey, if you're ready to take on the challenges that are given to you, this is where it starts right here.
That's great
advice.
That's great advice for a 6-year-old. That's great advice for a 54-year-old. Hey, Ray, we really appreciate you, brother. And we're looking forward to seeing you out on the field here this season.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.